Hi, and welcome to Deepwell Archival Services. Today we're going to discuss vendor-neutral archive technology, or VNA technology, and more specifically we're going to discuss VNA technology delivered as a cloud-based service. So let's look at a typical PACS storage and archive implementation. You've got an imaging organization out here with the different modalities, MRI, CT, and ultrasound. Ultimately, the purpose here is to create diagnostic study data, pictures, if you will, that are going to be used for diagnostic purposes. So you've got as we scroll down here into the storage infrastructure, you've got this PACS system that's cataloging information that's coming in from the different modalities. It's cataloging information about the patient, the accession number, the date and the time of the study, why the study was ordered. All that different information is being aggregated and stored in a database structure by the PACS. Now, of course, the A in PACS archive. The storage architecture is typically going to be composed of a primary storage device, or I should say a storage architecture. In a larger hospital or imaging organization, that architecture is typically going to be a storage area network, a SAN or a NAS. In a smaller implementation, a smaller hospital or a smaller imaging center, it might be a direct attached storage device. But as the PACS catalogs patient information and diagnostic study data that's coming in from the modalities, it's storing it on a primary storage device. And typically integrated in some form or fashion. In the past you've seen a lot of magneto-optical or tape library implementations for the long-term archive of that diagnostic study information, the 7 to 25-year retention cycles. In subsequent video presentations, we'll get into a lot of the issues and pitfalls associated with long-term storage management. We'll gloss over that a little bit today, just to stick strictly to the discussion of VNA architecture and implementation. So, typically you've got a replicated primary storage architecture to meet HIPAA requirements, integrated in some form or fashion with more of a long-term magneto-optical or tape library architecture. So, what does a VNA, cloud-based VNA architecture look like? Well, okay, and we'll get into some of the reasons that imaging end users and organizations are looking for VNA technologies, again, in subsequent videos. But let's look at a typical architecture of a cloud-based VNA solution. You've got to have almost inevitably you have to have an on-site server that's going to typically acquire images in real time from the PACS. So the PACS acquires images from the modality, stores them on primary storage, again an NAS or a SAN or direct attached storage. But in real time, this server is going to acquire that image data as well. It's going to store typically this server is going to serve as some sort of midterm image cache, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5 years possibly of on-site storage for immediate accessibility by the PACS of the diagnostic study information. Now, as this on-site server acquires data in real time, it's typically going to copy that information out to a data center or multiple hosted data centers. So a couple things are happening in real time here. PACS is acquiring images from modalities, cataloging that information in a database structure, storing that information for immediate accessibility on primary storage, and at the same time this on-site server is going to be acquiring that diagnostic study information as well. And it's immediately going to create copies or multiple copies out to multiple deep archive storage centers, which are typically in a hosted type of an environment out here. So hence we get into the cloud-based portion of a cloud-based VNA technology solution. A couple things need to happen in the background. In order to call yourself a vendor-neutral archive technology, you have to do a couple fundamental things. Anything above these fundamental technology functions is really, just frankly, marketing and sales positioning and fluff. We believe that you have to adhere explicitly to the DICOM standard, and we believe that you also have to provide an automated data migration strategy in the background that's completely segregated from the PACS or the front-end image management function. So adhere explicitly to the standard so that you can guarantee long-term retrieval of the diagnostic study information and provide some sort of documented data migration strategy. Other than that, again, it's typically just different vendor positioning capabilities within their technology solutions. So next time we'll get into some of these, what are the differences in these strategies? What are the different vendor technologies available? What do you have to look out for? What are some of the pitfalls? We'll dive a little deeper into the vendor neutral archive technology itself, some of the things you have to look for when selecting a solution. Thanks for your interest in Deepwell, and we hope to see you at our next presentation.